My wife emailed, "I'm filing for separation, please respect my privacy." I replied, "Of course." Then I forwarded her message to our mediator, closed our joint credit line, and removed her as my emergency contact at work. 48 hours later, HR called. Her new privacy wasn't so private. I, 41 male, operate on logic. It's my job as a systems architect, and it's how I've always navigated my life. When there's a problem, you define the parameters, identify the variables, and execute a solution. So when the email landed in my inbox 2 days ago, on a Monday afternoon, I treated it like a critical system failure. The subject line was just her name, Corinne. The body was just as sterile. "Leo, I am writing to inform you that I will be filing for a legal separation. I have moved my essential belongings out and will arrange a time for the rest. I believe this is for the best. Please respect my privacy during this difficult time. All further necessary communication should be in writing. See, 12 years of marriage terminated via email. No conversation, no warning." We'd just spent the weekend working on the garden. We had dinner reservations for her birthday next week. Difficult time. The audacity of it. The hurt was a physical thing, a hot spike behind my ribs, but I pushed it down. Panic solves nothing. She set the new parameters. I just had to operate within them. Respect my privacy. All communication in writing. Okay, fine. I typed my reply, my fingers steady on the keyboard, of course. Then I began executing the solution. It wasn't revenge. It was risk mitigation. Forwarded the email chain to our mediator. We'd been seeing Dr. Albright for a few months to work on communication. I guess Corinne decided she was done communicating. I added a simple note. "Dr. Albright, for your records, it appears our sessions are concluded. Best, Leo." This created a formal, time-stamped record of her initiating the end, on her terms. Closed our joint home equity line of credit, HELOC. We'd opened it for renovations years ago, but kept it active for emergencies. It had a 50-calorie limit. R was now a defunct concept. I logged into the bank's portal and initiated the closure request. A massive financial liability, accessible by someone who just unilaterally severed our partnership, was an unacceptable risk. Updated my work profile. This was the most chillingly logical step. I went into the company's HR portal, emergency contact number 1, Corinne. I clicked the little pencil icon, deleted her name, her number. Moved my father to the top spot. It felt like erasing a decade of my life in 3 clicks. She was no longer the person to call if I was dying. The system was updated. I worked for another hour, my focus absolute. Then I went home to a house that was subtly wrong. The closet was half empty. Her toiletries were gone from the bathroom. The silence was deafening. I felt nothing, just a strange hollow calm. She wanted privacy and distance. I was giving it to her. That was Monday. 48 hours passed in a blur of work and silence. Then this afternoon my desk phone rang. It was HR. "Leo? Hi, it's Julianne from Human Resources. Got a minute?" Her voice was weirdly hesitant. "Sure, Julianne, what's up?" "We had a bit of a situation here. Corinne was in a meeting in our building. She consults for the marketing department upstairs, and she had a bit of a fall. Twisted her ankle pretty badly in the lobby." A beat of silence. I said nothing. "Well," she continued, "it was nothing life-threatening, but she was in considerable pain. Protocol is to call the employee's emergency contact in any medical incident. When her department head couldn't find one for her as a consultant, they saw she was listed as your spouse in your file and pulled your info. But you weren't listed as her contact, and she wasn't listed as yours. So we called her parents." I waited. Her mother was quite distressed. Apparently, they were unaware of any change in your living situation and were very confused as to why the company was calling them from a different city about their daughter's injury instead of her husband, who works in the same building. The new parameters were having unforeseen consequences. Her carefully curated privacy had just sprung a very public leak. "I see," I said, my voice perfectly level. "Thank you for letting me know, Julianne. I hope she's all right." Right. Well, it created a bit of a scene. Her mother insisted on speaking with Corinne, who then had to explain things while on speakerphone with a paramedic standing by. It was all very awkward. Awkward. Yes. That was one word for it. She wanted to control the narrative, to handle her exit cleanly, privately. But reality and HR protocol had other plans. The system failure was now cascading, and I had a feeling the next communication from her wouldn't be so polite. Update 1. It's been a week since the email. The quiet Cold War has turned hot. As predicted, the next communication was not polite. It came about an hour after the HR call, a string of texts that completely ignored her own in-writing-only rule. They called my mother, my 68-year-old mother, with a heart condition. What is wrong with you? You took me off as your emergency contact? After 12 years? That is the cruelest, most psychopathic thing I have ever heard. And the HELOC is frozen? I was going to use that for the deposit on my new apartment. You have left me stranded. I read the texts, the entitlement radiating through the screen. She detonates our life, demands privacy, then screams at me when the consequences of that privacy prove inconvenient. I didn't reply to the texts. I took a screenshot of the conversation and emailed it to the mediator with the subject line, "Further correspondence." The real confrontation came 2 days later. Saturday morning, I was drinking coffee when my video doorbell chimed. It was Corinne and her sister, Beatrix. Corinne was on crutches, her foot in a boot, looking furious. Beatrix looked like a thundercloud. I didn't open the door. I spoke through the intercom. "Corinne, you said you'd arrange a time." "Don't be an infant, Leo. Let us in. I need my things, my important things." "Your email said you would arrange a time. This is not arranged. Send me an email with a proposed day and time, and I'll confirm if it works." Beatrix stepped forward, shoving her face toward the camera. "Stop playing games. She's injured because of you. She needs her winter clothes and her art supplies. You can't just keep her stuff hostage." "Injured because of me?" I asked, my voice flat. I wasn't aware I controlled the structural integrity of the lobby floor. Corinne let out a frustrated scream. "You know what she means. If you hadn't been so petty and changed the contact info, none of this would have happened. It was the stress." The logic was breathtaking. It was my fault she fell because I followed her instructions. "Send me an email," I repeated and ended the call. They banged on the door for another 5 minutes before leaving. An hour later, I got an email. It was a list, not a proposed time, but a list of demands. She wanted her things, but the list was interesting. It included the set of antique cartography prints from the study, the handcrafted bookshelf my grandfather made, the limited edition turntable we bought together. These weren't her things. These were our most valuable, sentimentally significant assets. This wasn't about clothes. This was a smash and grab. She thought she could just come in and gut the house of everything of value before the formal separation process began. I replied, "Corinne, thank you for the list. I am available next Saturday between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. for you to retrieve your personal belongings, clothing, toiletries, etc. Please be advised that shared assets, including all artwork, furniture, and electronics, will remain in the home pending formal division of property during mediation or legal proceedings. They will not be removed. I will have a third-party observer present to document the removal of your items." Leo, the response was almost immediate. "A third party? You snake. You're trying to make this as difficult as possible. Fine. But you haven't won anything." The entitlement was one thing. The sheer, unadulterated greed was another. She didn't just want out. She wanted to burn the whole place down on her way out and sell the ashes. The problem is, I designed the fire suppression system. Update 2. The day of the pickup was tense. My third-party observer was my friend Alan, a stoic accountant who agreed to come over, sit in the living room with a notepad, and just exist. His calm presence was exactly what I needed. At 10:05 a.m., a moving van pulled up. Not a pickup truck. An actual moving van. Corinne got out of the passenger side, still in her boot, followed by Beatrix, and then the driver got out. It was him, Gideon, a smarmy marketing VP from the consulting firm she worked with. I'd met him once at a company holiday party. He had that overly familiar toothy smile I instantly disliked. So this was it. This was the privacy she wanted to protect. I opened the door before they could knock. "Corinne, Beatrix." I nodded curtly at Gideon. "You're the muscle, I take it?" He just smirked. "Here to help Corey move her things." "Her personal things," I corrected, stepping aside. I had already packed her clothes, shoes, and personal effects into boxes and stacked them in the foyer. "Everything is here. Alan is observing to ensure a smooth process." Alan gave a little wave from the armchair. Corinne's face tightened. This wasn't the free-for-all she'd envisioned. "The prints from the study aren't here," she said, her voice sharp. "As per my email, shared assets remain," I said calmly. "They were a gift to me from my parents," she snapped. "They were a gift to us for our 5th anniversary," I countered. "I have the card, it's addressed to both of us. They stay." This is where it unraveled. Beatrix started sniffing around the living room. "What about the media console? Corinne picked that out." "And I paid for it," I replied. "It stays." Gideon, trying to play the hero, stepped forward. "Look, man, don't be a jerk. Just let her take what she wants, so we can go." "The things she wants are marital property, Gideon. I'm sure as a VP you understand the concept of assets. Unless you'd like your name formally entered into our separation documents as an involved third party facilitating the unauthorized removal of assets." His smirk vanished. He took a half step back. The threat of being legally dragged into this mess was a language he understood perfectly. The final straw was an art piece, not one of major monetary value, but immense sentimental value. It was a strange, beautiful sculpture made of driftwood and recycled glass we found in a tiny gallery on our honeymoon. It represented the start of everything. "I'm taking the Wanderer," she declared, moving toward the mantelpiece. "No," I said. My voice was low, but it cut through the room. "You are not. It's just a piece of wood, Leo. Don't be a child." "It's not just a piece of wood, and you know it. It stays here until it is decided upon legally." She let out a sob, a theatrical, frustrated noise. And then she did something I never expected. She reached out, grabbed the sculpture, and deliberately shoved it off the mantel. It hit the stone hearth with a sickening crash, the delicate glass components shattering. Silence. Alan stopped writing and just stared. Beatrix gasped. Gideon looked horrified. Corinne stood there, breathing heavily, a triumphant, ugly look on her face. "There," she said. "Now neither of us can have it." I looked from the broken pieces on the floor to her face. The hurt I'd been suppressing for weeks finally boiled over, but it wasn't hot. It was ice cold. I took out my phone, went to my security camera app, and saved the last 5 minutes of footage from the living room camera. I didn't say a word. I just looked at her. The realization of what she'd just done in front of 2 witnesses and on camera slowly dawned on her face. The triumph was replaced by panic. "Get your boxes," I said, my voice devoid of any emotion, "and get out of my house." They scrambled. The 2 movers Gideon had hired loaded only the boxes from the foyer. They were in and out in 15 minutes. As they left, Beatrix turned back. "I hope you're happy, Leo. You destroyed her." "No," I said, looking at the wreckage of the sculpture on my floor. "She's just showing me who she really is, and I'm finally believing her." Final update. It's been 8 months. The divorce was finalized last week. The war of attrition is over, and the final landscape is not what Corinne or Gideon expected. The destruction of the Wanderer was the turning point. It wasn't about the object's value, it was about the incontrovertible proof of her malice. My lawyer presented the video clip during our first 4-way settlement meeting. Corinne's lawyer went pale. Gideon, who was providing her with financial support and legal funds, was advised to distance himself from the proceedings. The act was so blatantly destructive and vindictive that it poisoned her entire narrative of being a wronged woman seeking a peaceful exit. Here's how the dominoes fell. The assets, her stunt with the sculpture, cost her dearly. The judge in our pretrial hearing called her actions indicative of bad faith. When it came time to divide the assets, my side had all the leverage. She wanted to force a sale of the house. I was able to buy her out for a figure significantly lower than market rate, factoring in emotional distress and property damage from her little tantrum. She lost the antique prints, the turntable, and my grandfather's bookshelf. She was awarded only items that were verifiably hers prior to the marriage. The financial fallout. Closing the HELOC was a bigger blow to her than I realized. It turned out Gideon wasn't just the affair partner. He was her business partner. They had a plan to launch their own boutique marketing agency, and the $50 from the HELOC was supposed to be Corinne's seed money. With that line of credit gone and her legal fees mounting, their business plan imploded before it even began. His financial backing started to dry up when he realized her exit from the marriage wasn't the clean, profitable venture she'd promised. The professional consequences. The HR incident had a longer tail than I expected. the awkward scene with her mother on the phone turned into quiet office gossip. Corinne's attempt to keep her affair with a senior VP private failed spectacularly. When details of their disastrous moving day and the destroyed sculpture trickled out through mutual acquaintances, their professional reputations took a hit. They weren't fired, nothing so dramatic, but they were seen as messy, dramatic, and untrustworthy. I heard from a former colleague that Gideon was passed over for a promotion, with the C-suite citing concerns about his judgment. He and Corinne are apparently still together, but living in a small, rented apartment, their grand plans reduced to dust. The final insult. During the final stages, Corinne, desperate, tried to claim long-term significant spousal support. My lawyer submitted a final piece of evidence, a detailed timeline. It started with the date she and Gideon registered the domain for their planned business, 3 months before she sent me the email. It showed, clear as day, that her departure was a premeditated financial decision, not the result of a difficult time in our marriage. The judge awarded her 2 years of minimal, rehabilitative alimony, barely enough to cover her car payments. It was a complete and total legal defeat. I never heard an apology. I never heard any remorse. The last I heard, through the grapevine, was that she tells people I had a breakdown and drove her away with paranoid controlling behavior. The narrative is all she has left, but I'm free. The house is quiet. I swept up the pieces of the Wanderer myself. I couldn't bear to throw them away, so they are in a box in the attic, a reminder that sometimes things have to be completely shattered before you can build something new. I'm starting to build. It's a slow, logical process, and for the first time in a long time, the system is stable.